radio show. And starting with Psalms 149, we enter in to praise the Almighty. Praise Yahweh. Sing to Yahweh a new song, his praise in the assembly of the faithful. Let Israel be glad in his maker. Let the sons of Zion rejoice in their king. Let them praise his name with dancing, making melody to him with timbrel and lyre. For Yahweh takes pleasure in his people. He adorns the humble with victory. Let the faithful exult in glory, and let them sing for joy on their couches. Let the high praises of Elohim be in their throats, and the two-edged sword in their hands, to wreak vengeance on the nations and chastisement on the peoples, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute on them the judgment written. This is the glory of all, for all his faithful ones. Hallelujah. Praise Yahweh. Amen. Yes, my brothers and sisters, that was Psalms 149. And that felt like that had it's one of my favorite Psalms about the kingdom and that Israel rejoice in their maker and the children of Zion, their king, so we give thanks and praise. Now, today we're going to talk about Ezekiel 34. A couple scriptures just leading into that. One is 2 Timothy 3:16 and 17 that says that all scripture is inspired by Elohim and profitable for teaching, for reproof, for correction, and for training in righteousness. Now, this is referring to the Tanakh. This is referring to the law, the Torah, and the prophets, and the writings, the Psalms, and the Proverbs, and so on. This is known as the Tanakh. So, which many people have called in modern times, that is the Old Testament. But as you continue to study the Word, you realize it's one testament. There's one testimony in the Scriptures. There's one covenant, though it is renewed, though it is considered new in the last days, that's why it's called the New Testament. Is really the Brit Hadashah, the new covenant, or the renewed covenant, the new covenant that he makes with his people. And this time it's going to actually take place, and it will, it's like it says in the Psalms, the humble will get the victory. So all scripture is inspired by Elohim and profitable for teaching, for reproof, for correction, and for training in righteousness, that the man of Elohim may be complete, equipped for every good work. So those of us that love to study the word, this is why, because we know that this will correct us, this will teach us, reprove us, and will train us in righteousness. Because coming into this, we're out of shape. We're mentally, spiritually, and physically weak. And so only through the truth and through the teaching and through the guidance that the Almighty gives us through His Torah, through His prophets' teachings, do we actually become strong and trained, ready for action, ready to, complete and equipped for every good work. So this is what we're striving for as Israelites, ready to do the good works. Now, another verse, if we go to 1 Corinthians 10, speaking about the things that happened to the Israel of old, the Apostle Paul, Shaul, his Hebrew name, it says, verse 11 of 1 Corinthians 10 says, now these things happened to them as a warning, but they were written down for our instruction, upon whom the end of the ages has come. So these things were written for our instruction and for us to learn from. So remember, all scripture is inspired and beneficial. Now, when you get into the prophecies, you begin to find out that, there's so much in these prophecies, and it actually applies. The prophecies were actually written, as it says here, for those of the end of the ages has come. Now, the end of the ages, the last days actually marks a time period where there's a change. It's not like time is going to stop or things are going to stop. Actually, it will continue. The earth will abide forever. The Almighty's kingdom is from everlasting to everlasting. The Most High is from everlasting to everlasting. So the things, it will always be here. His truth will be here. His truth is enduring forever. And so when we say the end of the ages, it marks the time of change. And we are actually at a threshold right now in the earth. And you can look at history and realize that things are culminating, and we're coming to a great pinnacle here. And where man is seeing the results of guiding his own ship, so to speak, his own choice, his own form of governments without the aid of the Almighty and without seeking the truth. And look what we've ended up with. We've ended up with all these wars and violence and sickness and sorrow and pain. And all the while, the Almighty, his truth has been here, and mankind is beginning to wake up, and the humble of the earth is waking up and will wake up more. There will be a great gathering, and during this time of change, that which is on high will be brought low, and everything will be made level, and the Most High is preparing a kingdom and that will last forever. And but one thing that we see here is that in the ancient times there were many parallels to what is going on in the modern times, and Ezekiel 34 is one of those twofold prophecies that addresses things that were happening in Ezekiel's day and addresses things that are happening in the world in our day. So now turning to Ezekiel 34. It says here, "The word of Yahweh came to me, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel, prophesy and say to them, even to the shepherds, thus says Yahweh Elohim, Ho shepherds of Israel who have been feeding yourselves, should not shepherds feed the sheep? Or should you not be feeding the flock?" Okay, woe unto the shepherds will be even a clearer translation of that. Woe be unto the shepherds of Israel that do feed themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flock? Now, the shepherds of Israel. Now, this obviously, the leaders of Israel were the ones on the top. They made the decisions. They made the decisions for the nations. There was the religious leaders. There was the political leaders or the kings. And there were the big businessmen of that time. And so these men paralleled the leaders of today's world, in which we know that the Almighty's children are scattered throughout all nations. They're going to be called out of all nations. Like the show before me, they were saying that he's calling out of a people out of all nations for his name. And so Israel is now being called out of all nations. But so in these last days, with the shepherds of this world were pictured by the shepherds of Israel, and they're actually the leaders of the world today. The governments and the business leaders and the religious leaders are doing the same thing. So when it says here that this message is woe unto the shepherds of Israel, it's also woe unto the leaders of this world today. Why? Because they do feed themselves, but shouldn't the shepherd feed the flock? But what we see here is that the rich are getting richer. The politicians are actually in this country, even, which is supposed to be a country where people have the power to vote and what they want, who they want in office and stuff. But what we find out is that it's actually the big businessmen that buy what they want, and the vote and the will of the people is overlooked, and this causes great injustice. And you find how off things have been, in times past in this country, and even right now things are really off. In fact, the government leaders have allowed 1% of basically the world to control 99% of the wealth, or 90% of the wealth. So when you consider that, that's crazy. So what we see here is they're feeding themselves and their friends, but they're not feeding the flock. They're not taking care of the people. They're not doing what it takes to ensure the safety and security of those in their nation and those in the world. They're not thinking about the future. They're only serving themselves. And it goes on describing this condition. And it was the leaders of Israel in the days of Ezekiel had gone astray, and they were actually to be overrun by Babylon and destroyed. And we find out that in these end times that the governments and the religious leaders and the big businessmen are going to lose their position also. And the Almighty is going to set up a kingdom of justice and righteousness that will replace this kingdom, and it will last forever. The kingdoms of this world will be done away with, and Everyone will have a chance to live in the Most High's kingdom. It'll be their choice, though. So we have to get the teachings and be educated and reproved and trained in the ways of righteousness. So, but really you find that the message is against the shepherds, the leaders, and it's mainly against the system that they're actually holding office in. And it's not just against the American system, it's against all the systems of man, because all of the systems of man are doing the same thing. They might have a different name and a different, they might claim different things, but basically in the end, they're feeding themselves and they're not feeding the people. They're not taking care of the people. Verse 3 of Ezekiel 34. You eat the fat and you clothe yourself with wool. You kill them that are fed, but you feed not the flock. So they take the best of everything for themselves, and they don't take care of the people. You find that the people don't have health care. The health care, if they do get it, it's substandard. They allow medicine, what they call medicine, drugs and things to come through that are totally unhealthy for people. They allow cleaners and household appliances that are causing diseases to be in people's houses. They allow fast food restaurants. They allow all these things for mankind. To those that can't afford to eat healthy food, they go and get the cheap food, cause them more struggle. You find this is the same with anything in life. You find that they drive the best cars, and they don't care about the people who can't afford a good car. They don't care about what's fueling the car. They just want their oil friends to keep making money instead of making decisions that could benefit the people, where people could actually be driving cars that actually run on water, if you know that, but they've actually made it illegal to do that, and they've controlled the patents on these things, and basically tried to wipe out all beneficial technology that would take away the power from the few rich. And so they feed themselves, but they feed not the flock. The people are still suffering. Verse 4, the disease have you not strengthened, neither have you healed that which was sick, neither have you bound up that which was broken, neither have you brought again that which was driven away, neither have you sought that which was lost, but with force and cruelty you have ruled them. And this is exactly what you find taking place today. Again, the disease you have not strengthened, neither have you healed that which was sick. So that which, the suffering, they haven't tried to ease. Now, there's always good people within each and every land that are trying to help the people. And you find there's nonprofits and private little nonprofits and things that are actually bringing the relief to the people. And sometimes there's government-sponsored things that are bringing relief to the people. But even when you actually consider, like the United Nations or these people, when they give aid to the countries, what are they giving? They're actually given white rice and denatured food. So that actually people that have to, starving people that come from all over to get this food, they're getting food with no nutrition, and it only makes it worse. Instead of providing healthy meals for the people, they're providing the worst stuff. I mean, I don't have all the information in front of me, but like when they did all the relief in Haiti and stuff, they were giving people like rotten food, literally. I mean, this is the aid the government send from all over the world to take care of people. No, yes, this is what they do. But that's not showing. This is why the Most High is against this type of situation, this type of system and systems that mankind is having the misfortune to live in. However, it is for our own experience and our own education, and because we must know that anytime we go against the Almighty and His will, and anytime we choose to go on a path of our own without following the Almighty's will, it will always end in disaster. And this is what we see taking place today: mankind ruling over man to his own hurt. And so the disease you have not strengthened, neither have you healed that which was sick, neither have you bound up that which was broken, neither have you brought again that which was driven away, neither have you sought that which was lost, but with force and cruelty have you ruled them. So whenever there was someone in need, they didn't take care of them. You find, let's see here, like the wars. They claim that they're going in to make it better for the people in the land, but they end up making it worse. They claim that they're fighting against terrorism, but they're actually creating more people that want to be terrorists because they're terrorizing people. This is these foolish decisions of the government. But why are they doing these things? Well, there's always a way for them to make money in their war plans and all of these things. And so this is the leaders of the world are ruling the people with cruelty and force, and they're not taking care of that with the lost ones and trying to show them the right way. Children today, high school children, are turning to drugs more than ever, and alcoholism and all these things, and doing destroying themselves, and the people end up getting in trouble and all these things, but they don't provide a way for them to get true help and correction, and they don't look at maybe what's wrong in society, this materialistic society that's not providing any answers for the youth, and the youth make bad decisions. But it's the systems, the system that we live in. The values are lost, and this is what it's talking about here. So those that are under their care are hurting, broken, diseased, and they're not getting any help. This is the condition of the world today. Verse 5, and they were scattered because there was no shepherd, and they became meat to all beasts of the field when they were scattered. So they're vulnerable. Because of this situation, you find that the citizens of the different nations under these false shepherds that are serving themselves and not the people become vulnerable. Anything can happen to them. They could lose their house at any time. If they lose their job, they have no security. They're in debt. To get a good education, to get a job, people have to go in debt $100,000, and then they probably don't even get a job that could ever pay that back off. There's all kinds of situations. The people are vulnerable from all sides. The system provides no security, and this is a failure. The system has failed. Verse 6, my sheep wander through all the mountains and upon every high hill. Yes, my flock was scattered upon all the face of the earth, and none did search after them. So, Israel, Yahweh's people, the most noble of the earth, those that are seeking the truth, those that ask the deep questions, those that want the solutions, those that want to see everyone blessed equally, those that want to see the whole, they want to find the truth, they want to see the Almighty's will done on this earth. They're scattered throughout. They wander around and no one searches for them. Israelites are the ones that the churches can't answer their questions. Do the churches see that this is a good thing that these people are asking questions? No, they shun them, or they tell them to stop asking these questions. And certain organizations will actually kick you out for having too good of questions or not accepting their false doctrines. And so this is, again, scattering the people, giving them no comfort, giving them no truth, nothing that can actually satisfy them. This is how they've treated Yahweh's people, the Israelites, those that are striving for his blessings, those that are seeking. It makes it harder for them to find the truth because of what is actually how the system is set up. But Yahweh will gather his people, as we're going to see. We're going to take a short break here, and we will be right back.
You're listening to and being encouraged by Kingdom Road Radio Show with Joseph Israel, right here on Messianic Lamb Radio.
All right. That was a real short break, but I got a little drink of water, so I'm thankful. All right, so now here we are, verse 7 of Ezekiel 34. Therefore, you shepherds, hear the word of Yahweh. As I live, says Yahweh, surely because my flock became a prey, and my flock became meat to every beast of the field, because there was no shepherd, neither did my shepherds search for them, my flock, but the shepherds fed themselves and fed not my flock. Now this was a condition that happened in the Israel of old. Because the leaders of the world, the leaders of the Israel were actually selfish and serving themselves, they weren't giving the people the truth. You find in Jeremiah, they believed the false prophet. So when the true prophet was there, they didn't heed him. They actually threw him in jail and prison. They threw him in the pit. This is the kind of way they always treated the prophets when they were going astray. And they followed the false pastors, the false preachers and these things, you find the same thing today. And because of this, the ways people are scattered. There's no one gathering them together, and they become food. They become a victim of the system. And there was no shepherd that was gathering them and bringing them together, giving the people the truth, giving them the way to walk in. The people are lost. I mean, if you look at the world today, people are doing these holidays, Christmas and Easter and Halloween and all these things. I mean, when you consider these things should never be. But because of the religious leaders have allowed these things to come in and actually taught people that they're correct, you find that the people, when it comes to the Almighty's laws, they're ignorant. But when it comes to the customs of this world, which actually this world is of the devil, the people, they know everything about it. They're all into it, and they think it's right. And so they've been led astray. And the shepherds fed themselves and did not feed the flock. So here we find that if you look at people, the religious leaders, these big guys like Billy Graham and all these people, they've made a lot of money off this. I mean, look, what's the guy's name? Joel Osteen or whatever. He denies the scriptures and all these things after he made millions of dollars preaching this false doctrine. And now he's denying it, causing more confusion, more it's just so crazy, man. So anyways, what was done in the dark will be brought into the light. And these shepherds are feeding themselves. They're only out for themselves, my brothers and sisters. They're not out for the people. That's why the people that go to church and stuff don't get educated. They don't have the truth. They can't explain Revelations. They can't explain Ezekiel 34. They can't explain 2 Chronicles chapter 20. They don't know who Israel is. They don't know how to come out of Babylon. They don't know these things. They're not taught these things. And so you find the same thing with the leaders of the world. The leaders of this political system, they don't enforce true justice. The people that are righteous, they end up condemning. You know, look at how they threw Nelson Mandela in prison for all those years. You know, look, Martin Luther King was shot, you know, for the messages that he brought, which was to bring unity to people from different walks of life. In a divided world, he sought to bring unity between black people and white people, you know, in different religions, different faiths. People, at least they could see each other as people. And look, they took them out. You know, this is what they do. You know, anyone that is a threat to their way of life, they end up removing. But the Most High is with his people, and his will be done, and there's no way you can stop it. The Most High has a message for these shepherds, for the leaders of the world, and it's found in Ezekiel 34, and here we are in verse 9. Therefore, O you shepherds, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus says the sovereign Yahweh, behold, I am against the shepherds, and I will require my flock at their hand, and cause them to cease from feeding the flock. Neither shall the shepherds feed themselves any more, for I will deliver my flock from their mouth, that they may not be meat or food for them. Okay, so here it is. The Almighty Adonai Yahweh, behold, he says, I'm against the shepherds. He's against the leaders of the world. Okay, now as individuals, they all have a chance. But the system that they represent and the office they hold has put them in direct opposition to the creator of heaven and earth, to the creator of the universe, Yahweh Elohim. Now, this is actually in harmony with the rest of the scriptures. One verse I want to bring out is found in the book of James, which is correctly Jacob, but James 4:4. You adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that friendship with the world is enmity with Elohim? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is an enemy of Elohim. So I am against the shepherds, says the Most High, and I will require my flock at their hand. If you're a friend of the world, you're an enemy of the Elohim, of the true Elohim. Now, why is this? You find in the first John 5:19. It says that best in the Revised Standard, we know that we are of Elohim and the whole world is in the power of the evil one. So the devil is actually controlling this world. That's why the Most High is against it. And these shepherds are actually working for the devil, the evil one. So I'm against the shepherds, the leaders of politics, commerce, and religion, the offices they hold. This is the Christian churches, the higher ups of any other religion, you know, the Vatican, these rabbis that are supporting this world, the Muslim religious leaders that are supporting, you know, all these big guys, you know, that most of them meet at the Ecumenical Council. You can look that up. There's one that's always normally held in Rome somewhere. These different religious leaders from all over the world. You also find that these big business guys, they have their big meetings and they rub shoulders with the politicians, and they make it all go around for themselves. But the Most High is against that, and he's going to cause them to lose their position. He will cause them to cease from feeding their flock. This is verse 10 of Ezekiel 34. Neither shall the shepherds feed themselves anymore. So once they are removed, they will never be able to hold this position over mankind. They will be removed forever. The only hope for them would be to repent and to humble themselves and do Yahweh's will, just like everybody else. And if they did that, they have the same chance everybody else does to survive and make it into the new earth, the renewed earth, which will be his kingdom. Now, because he was going to deliver his flock from their mouth. Now, deliverance is another way to say salvation. He's going to deliver his people. He's going to save us from them, from being their food, from being a victim of the system. You know, he's going to bring health. He's going to bring blessings, that they may not be meat for them. Because basically, we're all being used in the system. You know, the whole thing is that you're a consumer. That's what they tell you in this side of the world, in the capitalist countries, that you're a consumer, and they look at you and you're going to spend X amount of dollars a week and you're going to buy these things and those things, and they get it all charted out, and they know they need to produce all these things, supply and demand, and when they do that, they make X amount of dollars, and they have to keep expanding. All the while, the stuff that you're buying is made cheaper and cheaper. The labor they pay for is cheaper and cheaper. It's polluting the earth. It's doing all these things. It is not benefiting anyone. You can't even buy stuff anymore that lasts because of this. You know, even a $2,000 computer, you got maybe 3 to 5 years, and then you got to get a new one. I mean, look at this stuff. You know, people we got to be wise. But what a joy! This is the encouragement, and the hope is that the Most High is going to save us from this situation. And if you just look, you can see the world's in a serious situation. So today, with Ezekiel, I'm saying there's a lot of hope. Now, he continues on. He says, "For thus says the sovereign Yahweh, behold, even I, will both search for my sheep, and I will seek them out." So it says, Yahweh is my shepherd, I shall not want. So the Most High becomes the shepherd, and he actually searches for his sheep, and he seeks them out. He calls us out of Babylon. Joshua says, "My sheep shall hear my voice." And basically, we hear the message. We want to come, and the Most High has his angels. He has his prophets. He has his son Joshua, actually, who is the head of it all, the head of Zion, his organization. And through this whole thing, he calls out his people, the humble of the earth, and he will seek them out, and they will be gathered. Verse 12, "As a shepherd seeks out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep, and will deliver them out of all the places where they have been scattered in a cloudy and dark day." Now, we find here that as a shepherd seeks out his flock in the day that he is among the sheep. When the shepherd knows that his sheep are scattered, he goes and searches them out. He gets every single one of them, and he brings them back. And then he knows he did his job. Joshua said there was 99 sheep. But there was 100 sheep, but one went missing. There was 99, but the good shepherd, he leaves the 99 in their secure place, and he goes and gets the one that went astray and brings it back. And then he actually says, in heaven, there's more rejoicing about the one sheep that returns to the fold than the 99 that stayed in the fold. So that really what he's telling you here is each and every one means so much to the Most High, means so much to the Son of the Most High, Yahshua. And his Father and the Son, they truly care for us all. And they even if everybody's gathered and there's one left that they haven't got yet, they're going to go the extra mile to get that one and bring it back in. You're important to him. See, in today's world, these shepherds that we live under today, they don't care if you make it, if your business survives, if you can pay your bills. They could care less. They could care less if you're healthy. I mean, you get sick, somebody's gonna make more money. This is the way it's set up. This is why it's evil. It's corrupt, and the Most High is against it. He cares about you. He's gonna bring you back. He's gonna bless you, and it means a lot to him. It means a lot to the angels, the messengers in heaven. It means a lot to his Son, and it means a lot to all of us. And we will love you. You will know that you are my disciples. Joshua says, by the love you have for one another. And it even says to love your enemies. So even though we see that the leaders of the world have actually done and been a part of this, my heart is that everybody could change. Now the scriptures let us know that some are not going to change, and some are going to pursue an idolatry, idol worship, and man worship their own work of their own hands, and they're going to end up going down. They're not going to repent. But many are going to repent, and I just keep it open. You never know who's going to do what, so the message goes out to all who hear this today, and whoever hear the recording of this, that there's a chance. Now he's going to deliver us. He's going to gather us as a shepherd gathers his sheep that have been scattered. And I will seek out my sheep, he says in verse 12, and will deliver them out of all the places where they have been scattered in a cloudy and dark day. Now it's darkness and gloom for the nations, it says. This represents inability to see. The world is in darkness. They have no spiritual understanding. And this is actually part of the reason why the sheep have gone astray. And one of the ways this almighty shepherd brings us all back and gathers us is by bringing the light. In the darkness comes the light. And this world is in darkness, but light is sown for the righteous. So those that seek will find. And he is going to gather his people in this dark and cloudy day. This is the time. Verse 13. I will bring them out from the people and gather them from the countries, and will bring them to their own land and feed them upon the mountains of Israel by the rivers and in all the inhabited places of the country. Now, as he brings them out, it's the same thing to come out of Babylon. Now notice, this is showing a separation here. It's showing that some are the sheep and some are not. So he's going, but who he's concerned with is his sheep, the ones that are going to respond and be humble and teachable and come out. And this is how we want it to be. He's going to bring those sheep out from among the people. The rest of the world that's not going to take heed. He's going to gather a people for his name. These are the Israelites, those that strive for his blessings out of every tongue, tribe, and nation. These are the ones that Revelation 7:9 through the rest of the chapter there says, these are the ones that come to the great tribulation. They're going to overcome what actually is in front of them. He's going to gather them. He's going to deliver them. And he's going to bring them to their own land. Now, the land is the promised land. We find out, but it's actually that the meek inherit the earth. The humble inherit the earth. So the land actually in the Hebrew, I'll actually look it up, but I'm pretty sure that even right here, it could also be translated the earth. Let's see here. I'm going to look it up in the Hebrew real quick. Their own land. 13. Let's see here. So the mountains of Israel, to their own land, settled portions of the earth, haaretz. Now, so what I'm trying to say here is the earth is your ways and the fullness thereof. The humble shall inherit the earth. The whole earth shall be silent and break forth into singing. Isaiah 14 actually, verse 7 brings out that the land that Israel inherits is the whole earth. So yes, the promised land. We did a show on the promised land, and it's actually the ancient promised land in the Middle East was a type and foreshadow of the whole earth, which will end up becoming a paradise situation for all who live in it. Can you imagine if every tongue, tribe, and nation and people, millions of people and even the billions of people had to live on that little piece of land. Now that doesn't make any sense. So basically, the Almighty intends to bless all of this land. This whole earth is your ways. This whole earth is the promised land. And he's going to bring them to their own land. Now, when another way you can also look at this, to bring them to their own land, and this is the homeland. You're going to return home. Now, when in this land, you're a foreigner, you're in the world, but you're not of the world. But when you make it to his kingdom, when you make it to the new earth, to the paradise condition, you're going to finally feel at home. You're going to look around and you're going to finally be able to prosper. When you work, it's going to be blessed. You're not going to slave for the man. You're not going to slave for another man. We're going to work together in a cooperative environment, where everyone will be working for the blessing of each other and serving the Almighty and serving each other. And this is going to be a beautiful thing. So you will finally, every righteous heart will feel at home. This will be like returning into their land. And in the mountains of Israel, this is speaking of the strongholds of Israel. This is Yahweh's kingdom. Now, by the rivers, causes everything to flourish, and all the inhabited places of the country. So there won't be a place, everywhere will be inhabited, and it will be beautiful. Verse 14, I will feed them in a good pasture, and upon the high mountains of Israel shall their fold be. There shall they lie in a good fold, and in fat pasture they shall feed upon the mountains of Israel. So in the high mountains, in his kingdom, they'll be blessed, and I will feed them with a good pasture. Yahweh is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. If you're a sheep, you need a certain amount of greens. You need a certain amount of this wonderful pasture land to graze, to get your nutrition to be strong. So basically what he's saying here is everything that his sheep, everything that his people need to cause them to be healthy on all levels, mentally, physically, and spiritually, on all levels, to be complete for every good work, he will provide for them. You will begin to flourish, which is a contrast to what is going on in today's world. When you want to do good, sometimes you find that your hands are tied, you can't do it. And that in this world, there's so many things going on a big level. Sometimes you feel helpless. Like, how can I stop all the pain and suffering? But little by little, we just keep working for the big change. And actually, only by seeking the Almighty and His will there ever be any real change. So that's why we don't get involved in any of the political upheavals or any kind of revolution like that. We have to internally change ourselves and seek the Almighty's will and actually see that He's has a purpose and that He is going to bring His people and bless His people and bring them to a place of flourishing. And they will lie down in a good fold, and they will basically when the animals lie down, they're not afraid of any attack, and everybody will feel great. In the fat pasture they shall feed upon the high mountains of Israel. Yahweh's organization will cause this condition. The works of righteousness is peace. The fruits of righteousness is peace. Verse 15. I will feed my flock, and I will cause them to lie down, says the sovereign Yahweh. So we are His people, the sheep of His pasture. Yahweh has made us, not we ourselves, and He will feed His people. Now He feeds us with knowledge, He feeds us with understanding. The words of the prophets, He sends, He will send His prophets to actually be a part of gathering His people. He will send for hunters to hunt them out and fishers to fish them out. And the good news of the kingdom will be spread throughout the earth as a witness unto all nations, and then the end will come. So He's going to gather His people. I will give them pastors after my own heart, shepherds after my own heart. He's going to set up a nation. Happy is the nation whose Elohim is Yahweh. This is Israel. He's going to feed them. He's going to nourish them. Everyone in Israel is going to be strong and healthy and ready for this work, equipped for every good work. Cause them to lie down. They won't be afraid of any attack, any predator, says Yahweh. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and I will be right back.
You're listening to the Kingdom Road Radio Show on Messianic Lamb Radio, promoting a lifestyle of hope.
All right, we are back. Verse 16 of Ezekiel 34. I will seek that which was lost and bring again that which was driven away. I will bind up that which was broken and will strengthen that which was sick. But I will destroy the fat and the strong, and I will feed them with judgment. Okay, so this is the justice. That which was lost, the Most High will seek. I will bring again that which was driven away. Those that were oppressed, those that were broken, I will bind up that which was broken. He will mend, he will heal the broken hearts, the tears. He will wipe every tear from your face. He will take care of everything that the systems and the shepherds of this world didn't do for the people. The Almighty is going to do for the people. He's going to bless them. He's going to be with them. He will strengthen that which was sick. He's going to heal all of these sicknesses, where there will be no more sickness. Again, man has a role to play in this. They have to be obedient. But I will destroy the fat and the strong, and I will feed them with judgment. Now, the fat and the strong are those that actually were the shepherds in this world who lifted themselves up over the flock. They became strong while everyone else was weak. They fed themselves. They didn't feed the flock. He's going to feed them with judgment. And when the Almighty's judgment is just, it actually has to do with justice. And basically, again, as I said, the good news of the kingdom is spread throughout the earth as a witness unto all nations. So what it's going to do, the good news of the kingdom is, yes, Yahshua came and died for our sins, and he raised on the third day. He redeemed us from the fallen race of Adam, and has bought us and purchased us. But now we have a job to do. We must follow the king and become a part of his kingdom. And it actually pronounces doom to this system of things, and actually gives a message of hope to all who are brokenhearted, and actually a message of doom for the shepherds and the system that they are running because of the injustice and the corruption that's going on. Verse 17, and as for you, O my flock, thus says the sovereign Yahweh, behold, I judge between cattle and cattle, between rams and he-goats. So the Most High is going to be the judge, and when he judges, it is just and loving and wise, perfect. Verse 18, seemeth it a small thing unto you to have eaten up the good pasture, but you must tread down with your feet the residue of their pastures, and to have drunk of the deep waters, but you must foul the residue with your feet. So what he's saying here is, you leaders of the world, you took the best of everything, and then what was left, you messed up that too, so that it was actually made it worse on the people than even it was originally. Even with you taking the best of everything, you ate the good pastures, and then the rest of it, you made it so it was even not as good as it was, even a little bit that was left. They trampled it. And they went and drank the waters, the deep waters, the best waters that you could get. And then they muddied up the rest, so that it made it harder and harsher and more impure, and causing more, more problems for the people. So this just shows an evil, completely evil heart condition. Verse 19, and as for my flock, they eat that which you have trodden with your feet, and they drink that which you have fouled with your feet. So they take the best, and the rest get the worst. And this is what you find here in the world. These guys drive $100,000 cars. Some of us drive, $1,000 cars or $500 cars or whatever, and everybody's still just trying to have a safe automobile. That's just an example, so what's going on there? Basically, people go to drink water out of these politicians. They can afford to drink all the really, really good bottled water, and the people have to drink tap water, and it's full of fluoride and all kinds of things that cause more sickness. And this is the kind of stuff that they do. I mean, basically on any level you can see this is all true. So that the Most High people get the worst of it. And that's how the system is set up. But it's not going to be that way forever. He's going to bring the judgment and the justice. Verse 20. Therefore, thus says the sovereign Yahweh unto them, behold, even I will judge between the fat cattle and between the lean cattle. So he's going to make it just. It says Yahshua himself, the son of Yahweh, who he actually sets up as the one to do this work, who he sends, he's going to set things straight. And he will side with the meek and the humble of the earth. Verse 21, because you have thrust with the side and with shoulder, and put all the disease with your horns, till you have scattered them abroad. Therefore will I save my flock, and they shall no more be a prey, and I will judge between cattle and cattle. So he's gonna bring his people out. He's gonna save them. They've been beat up in this world. They've been broken down. So this message goes out to everybody today that feels the pain, that sees what's going on in the world. We feel it for the families all over the earth that are suffering. I mean, can you imagine our brothers and sisters in Syria that there's chemical warfare and things going on? People all over the earth suffering because of the harsh governments and the oppressions that these leaders. What about the people in Egypt that have to live in these war zones in Yemen? People just trying to live their life, and because of the government's situation, they suffer. I mean, the people in Israel, the people in Palestine, the Palestinians in Israel, the people living in Israel, most of those people, they just want to live a peaceful life. Because of the political structure and the climate over there, the good-hearted everyday people suffer. They're afraid of bombs and suffering, that someone's going to do something terrible and they're going to lose their loved ones. This on both sides. It's so sad. People are people. And the Most High is going to actually bring the justice, and he's going to actually bring us out of these corrupt situations that mankind could never get himself out of. We've got ourselves in them, but we would never be able to get ourselves out of them if it wasn't for the loving kindness and the grace and mercy of the Almighty and the desire to save his people. Now he's going, we have the desire to find the truth, and that's why we must spread it and share it after we learn it. What a joy. He will save his flock. Verse 23. I will set up one shepherd over them, and he shall feed them, even my servant David. He shall feed them, and he shall be their shepherd. So, again, like I said earlier, it's Yahshua who he sets up over it. So I will set up one shepherd over them. This one shepherd that he sets up over them is the Mashiach. This is the son of David, the line of the tribe of Judah, the conquering line of the tribe of Judah, who has prevailed. This is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, Yahshua the Messiah, even my servant David. Now, David was a man after Yahweh's own heart. In his day and time, he was the Mashiach. He was the anointed one of Yahweh, and he was a type and a picture of the greater one to come out of his loins, Yahshua the Messiah, the son of Yahweh. He shall feed them, and he shall be their shepherd. So he's going to feed us. His sheep will hear his voice, and they will come. And this is how Yahweh sets up his kingdom. Yahshua is the king. He sets him as the highest of his servants. He is the one. He is the king and the high priest, and he will set all things in order. And like he said, everything that he learned, his father showed him. And so he comes to represent his father. Verse 24, and I, Yahweh, will be their Elohim. So, Yahweh is our Elohim. Yahweh is Yahshua's Elohim. Yahweh is the Messiah's Elohim too. And he prayed to his father also. So, but Yahshua is the one who is set up over us all, who purchased us, and who will lead us into this kingdom. So I, Yahweh, will be their Elohim, and my servant David, my servant Yahshua, a prince among them. He will be a leader among them. I, Yahweh, have spoken. So this is the prophecy of the Messiah, the Messianic kingdom, where Yahshua actually leads us to victory. Like David would lead the Israelites to victory long ago. But it's going to be even greater, because it's going to be a lasting victory, and it won't be a carnal war. It's a spiritual war, and the overcoming is going to bring blessings to all people who have a good heart. So peace on earth amongst men and women of goodwill. Verse 25. And I will make a covenant of peace, a covenant of shalom. This is the new covenant, and will cause the evil beasts to cease out of the land, and they shall dwell safely in the wilderness and sleep in the woods. So nothing in this covenant of shalom, there won't be anything that would ever harm these sheep, these people, and they dwell safely in the wilderness and sleep in the woods, a place where in this world you might feel unsafe. You'll be safe in his kingdom. Everything will be blessed, and you will have nothing to fear. This is the promise. Under Yahshua's guidance, and this is why we give our life to Yahshua to lead us. We pledge our allegiance, so to speak, to the kingdom of Yahweh under Yahshua the Messiah, who he set up, the son of David, who is a leader among us. Yahweh is our Elohim, and he makes a covenant of peace with us. Peace. Shalom. And he will cause the evil beast to cease out of the land. So anything that's there to attack you won't be there. You'll be dwelling safely in the wilderness and sleep in the woods. Peacefulness everywhere. 26. And I will make them and the places round about my hill a blessing. So all of Yahweh's people will become a blessing, and everywhere around his kingdom will be a blessing. And I will cause the shower to come down in his season, and there will be showers of blessing. So as the rain causes the earth to flourish, so does Yahweh's word cause his purpose to flourish. And so this is the earth being blessed by the heavens continually, showers of blessings, and there will be a flourishing and fruits of righteousness and everything, all more than you could ever imagine. Eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard of the blessings in store for those that love him. And this is the encouragement that we have. Verse 27, and the tree of the field shall yield her fruit, and the earth shall yield her increase, and they shall be safe in their land, in the earth, and they shall know that I am Yahweh, when I have broken the bands of their yoke and delivered them out of the hands of those that serve themselves of them. So as he redeems us from the system, as he delivers us out of Babylon physically, Jeremiah 23 says there's going to be a greater exodus than there was before. You will know Yahweh's done this. You will know his son Yahshua was the chief agent that he employed to do it. And you will know that you are an Israelite because Yahshua is the king of Israel and he is the ruler, and the Yahweh sets up over us. And the trees of the field will yield their fruit. You will always have food. You will have everything. Everything will blossom and flourish. The earth will yield their increase. There will be an abundance of truth and wisdom and knowledge for all the steps and the progressive phases as we go on throughout eternity. The earth will be a blessed place forevermore, and they shall be safe in their land and the earth, and they shall know that I am Yahweh. So you will know it is Yahweh who did this. You will come to know your Father. He will be your Elohim, and you will be his people. You will walk with him. You will be healed. You will be whole. And when he has broken the bands of their yoke and delivered them out of the hands of those that serve themselves of them. So these oppressive governments, their days are numbered. He's going to deliver you. Excuse me. He's going to deliver you. He's going to cause us all to be blessed. Verse 28, and they shall no more be a prey to the heathen or to the nations, neither shall any beast of the land devour them, but they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid. So they shall no more be a prey to the nations, to the heathen. And I mean, you will no more suffer and pain and struggle as you do in this world today. You will be truly blessed forevermore. Nothing to attack you, nothing to bring you down, nothing to fear. You will plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. You'll build houses and inhabit them. It actually says that you will outlive the work of your hands. You're going to live forever. You know, we are all going to live forever, as long as we continue striving for the Most High's blessings and to be humble towards his will and turn our hearts towards him. He's going to calm the restless masses of humanity. He's going to bring us out of this suffering condition. We have been oppressed. We are being oppressed. There's people are suffering all over the world because of the oppression, and he is against this system of oppression. Whatever they call themselves, they're all falling short of what the Almighty's kingdom is and what he intends for his people. And no one shall make them afraid. No one shall be afraid of anything. Everyone will be safe. This is his blessing. This is his kingdom. So here we go. And they shall no more be, okay, verse 29, and I will raise up for them a plant of renown, and they shall no more be consumed with hunger in the land, neither will they bear the shame of the nations or the heathen anymore. So a plant of renown, this is something that will grow only in his kingdom. This is showing the blessings in store for the human race that we don't even know about. It's going to be something that actually is greater than we could even describe right now. And you will never hunger or thirst or have pain or sorrow anymore, and neither shall they bear the shame of the nations anymore. Yahweh's people, they are mocked, they are condemned, they're not loved in this world. And so what he tells us is that you'll never have to bear the reproach of being hated of all nations for his name's sake. And so this is a beautiful thing. Thus shall they know that I, Yahweh, am Thus shall they know that I, Yahweh, their Elohim, am with them, and that they, even the house of Israel, are my people, says the sovereign Yahweh. So this, everyone on earth that is a part of his people, they will know. They will know their Father. They will know they're his people. And this is a personal relationship with their Creator. He's calling us out of Babylon, my brothers and sisters. Seek your way in his kingdom, and you will be found. Seek and you find. Knock, and the door will be open. And you, my flock, the flock of my pasture, are men, and I am your Elohim, says the sovereign Yahweh. This is the house of Israel. O organization of Israel, we're calling you out. You know, this is the time. Every tongue, tribe, and nation scattered throughout the earth. You know, Yahweh's nation is the restored Israel. The restored Israel of Yahweh, gathering together under Yahshua the Messiah, who is the chief restorer. He's the one shepherd that Yahweh sets up over us. He is the son of David. He will save the flock. He will bring us together. He will give us shepherds to rule over us, the prophets. And this will be a beautiful kingdom that will endure forever in true worship and righteousness. And we will learn our lesson to the fullness. So what a beautiful thing. A message of hope, my brothers and sisters out there. Hope you enjoyed the show today. And stay in tune for more shows on the Kingdom Road Radio Show. And I thank you for tuning in. Hallelujah. Praise Yahweh. And Yahweh be with you until next week. One love.
We are richly blessed.